In a sea of perfectly curated beauty gurus and daily vloggers, one girl with a messy bun, oversized hoodie, and iced coffee changed everything.
But it's worth it.
Emma Chamberlain joined YouTube
Fill
in
that up to the
2017.
very top.
No team, no budget, just a camera, jump cuts, and raw, chaotic energy. Her editing style was loud, awkward, and hyperactive, and it felt real. She didn't pretend to be perfect. She talked about her pimples, her anxiety, her bad moods. And somehow, that made her feel like your best friend. The internet hadn't seen anything like her before. And by 2018, Emma wasn't just a YouTuber, she was a movement. Her relatable persona wasn't just relatable, it was revolutionary. At least until everyone started copying it. But at this point, Emma was still filming in her bedroom, editing for 10 hours straight and posting weekly. The girl with no filter had found her voice, and millions of people were listening. But behind the chillest teen online was a girl learning to survive a brand. By 2018, Emma Chamberlain was no longer just a relatable teen. She was becoming a full-blown brand. Her chaotic energy, raw editing, and offbeat charm made her a magnet for Gen Z audiences. But behind the scenes, Emma was making moves that would redefine her image and her business. She signed with United Talent Agency, launched her first line of merch, started collaborating with major YouTubers like James Charles and the Dolan twins. Suddenly, Emma wasn't just the girl vlogging in her bedroom. She was the centerpiece of what the internet started calling the sister squad. But here's what's wild. None of it felt fake. Unlike many creators who lost touch with their audience after going mainstream, Emma somehow maintained her authenticity. She kept filming in her car. She kept wearing hoodies. She still edited her own videos. Even as the numbers grew, her tone stayed grounded. And fans loved her for it. Her branding wasn't just about selling products. It was about building a world people wanted to be part of. And in 2019, that world got its own signature drink, Chamberlain Coffee. It wasn't just a business move, it was personal. Emma had talked about coffee in almost every vlog. It was her personality, her comfort ritual. And now it was a product. The website, the colors, the packaging, everything reflected her style. Minimal, cozy, tongue-in-cheek. But the brand didn't explode overnight. Chamberlain Coffee had to evolve. It went from basic bags of beans to full-on lifestyle packaging, limited drops, and influencer partnerships. Emma wasn't just marketing, she was learning. And while most influencers burn out trying to monetize too quickly, Emma was patient. She laid the foundation for something bigger. This chapter wasn't just about growth, it was about power, quiet, hoodie-wearing, brand-building power.
I like this a lot. Okay, right here my mind went blank.
By the time 2019 rolled around, Emma Chamberlain wasn't just a YouTuber anymore. She was a cultural reference point. Clips of her zoom ins, offbeat jokes, and iced coffee rants had become viral templates. Her editing style, jump cuts, zooms, awkward stares, and quirky music overlays, wasn't just refreshing, it was revolutionary. It changed what YouTube felt like. Suddenly, her signature, chaotic, yet casual editing was everywhere. New creators were emulating her pacing, her tone, even her thumbnails. She wasn't just part of a trend, and she was the trend. Emma's mannerisms became memes. The wide eyed stare, the deadpan, what am I doing with my life expression, the over the top transitions. All of it was packaged, reposted, and remixed into viral videos on TikTok, reaction GIFs on Twitter, and YouTube edits. And while this explosion of recognition brought her even more fans, it also made her identity a public playground. Internet culture doesn't just celebrate, it replicates, exaggerates, and commodifies. People began to parody her, some gently, through homage, others mockingly, reducing her to a caricature. Coffee, hoodie, scream, edit, repeat. What once felt like a celebration of uniqueness started to morph into a constant loop of impersonations. Emma Chamberlain wasn't just Emma anymore. She was a formula. The pressure that comes with being an icon, especially so young, is immense. Every facial expression became content. Every outfit became aesthetic. Every off the cuff joke could be clipped out of context and turned into a punchline. Even her fans debated her. She's changed. She's not the same. I miss old Emma. All these statements echoed online. But what people really missed was the version of Emma they created in their heads. It's one of the strangest parts of internet fame. People connect with your personality so much they think they own it. But behind the algorithm and irony, there's still a real person figuring it out in real time. And Emma, she was learning what it means to be watched by millions, not just for what you post, but for who they think you are. The internet made her a meme, but it never asked if she wanted to be one. By 2020, Emma Chamberlain was no longer just a YouTube personality or a meme. She was becoming something far more calculated, a business mogul in the making. What most people saw was the girl in hoodies, drinking iced coffee, rambling in her car. But behind that relatable exterior was a sharp, evolving understanding of how to turn personality into profit without losing the essence of what made her famous. Emma didn't follow the typical influencer playbook. While others were chasing fast fashion sponsorships and generic brand deals, Emma was building long term partnerships that aligned with her identity. Brands didn't just want her face, they wanted her vibe. And Emma knew it. In 2019, she launched Chamberlain Coffee. But unlike typical influencer products, this wasn't a cheap cash grab. It was an extension of her personality. Coffee wasn't just content for Emma, it was her lifestyle, her comfort zone, her signature. Every fan knew Emma was coffee, but building a business wasn't as easy as slapping her name on a bag of beans. The first iteration of Chamberlain Coffee was minimal, almost too minimal. The branding felt safe, generic. And while her loyal fans supported it, Emma knew something was missing. So she adapted. Over the next year, Chamberlain Coffee underwent a full rebrand, embracing playful colors, quirky mascots, and packaging that screamed Gen Z aesthetic. It wasn't just coffee anymore, it was merch. It was identity. It was a community. At the same time, Emma was making strategic moves outside of YouTube. She became a fixture in fashion circles, not by accident, but by design, partnering with Louis Vuitton, attending Paris Fashion Week, sitting front row at shows. Emma was rebranding herself from internet kid to fashion insider. Critics were quick to say she was selling out. But in reality, Emma was leveling up. She understood that YouTube fame was fleeting, but brand power could last. She launched a podcast, Anything Goes, giving fans a more intimate, unfiltered version of herself. No video, no edits. Just Emma talking, reinforcing her personal brand while expanding into new media territory. Emma wasn't abandoning her roots. She was diversifying. She was turning relatable girl into a multi-platform empire. And the brilliance of it all, she made it look effortless. Behind every self-deprecating joke and every "I don't know what I'm doing" comment was a young woman who knew exactly what she was doing, building a business blueprint for the next generation of creators. This was no longer just about content. It was about legacy.
This is how Emma Chamberlain built a multi-million dollar empire. She started out as a bestie. Her vlogs are incredibly relatable. Love it. And she's built a frustrating creator business, pairing really cool brand deals with her own product that's authentic to her. Chamberlain Coffee. That's a $2 million.
By 2021, Emma Chamberlain, the internet's most relatable teen turned CEO, did something that most influencers fear more than anything. She disappeared. No dramatic announcement, no clickbait farewell video, just silence. The weekly vlogs stopped. The chaotic edits, the car monologues, the iced coffee rants, all gone. For years, Emma had been the blueprint for authenticity online. But behind every "I'm fine" and every quirky jump cut was a reality that most creators hide. Burnout. Emma had hinted at it before. Subtle mentions of exhaustion, jokes about editing for 12 hours straight. Comments about feeling uninspired.
I am burnt out just in life in general.
But when you're the face of relatable content, admitting you're struggling doesn't fit the brand people expect. So instead of pushing through, Emma stepped back.
So Emma Chamberlain has quit YouTube. Make sure you watch to the end. So a lot of people have been noticing that Emma hasn't uploaded to YouTube in the last couple of months, and she explained all of it in the latest episode of her podcast, saying,
I don't know why people want to watch my videos. I don't know why I like watching other people's videos.
What happened to Emma Chamberlain? Part 2. Make sure to go watch part 1 first. So throughout her years on YouTube, Emma Chamberlain took multiple breaks and continued to tell us why. And it was in a recent podcast episode on Anything Goes that she decided to open up and let us know a little bit about her YouTube struggles. She discussed how it was expected to upload weekly and continuously put out content on the platform. And for somebody like her with extremely high quality content, the videos take hours upon hours to edit, and it's just not that realistic to upload that often.
But Emma wasn't gone entirely. While her YouTube channel gathered dust, she poured her energy into something quieter, her podcast, Anything Goes. No cameras, no editing, just her voice. It was raw, introspective, and often heavy. She talked about mental health, identity, pressure, and the weirdness of growing up online. It wasn't the Emma people met in 2017. It was Emma, mid-20s, reflecting in real time. This shift wasn't just a content pivot, it was survival. Because when your personality becomes your product, burnout isn't a risk, it's inevitable. Emma's disappearance from YouTube wasn't a downfall, it was a reset, a necessary pause in a culture that demands constant output. And in stepping back, Emma taught a lesson louder than any upload schedule ever could. You don't owe the internet your entire life. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't creating more, it's knowing when to stop. When Emma Chamberlain first appeared on YouTube, no one could have predicted that just a few years later, she'd be sitting front row at Paris Fashion Week or casually interviewing celebrities on the Met Gala red carpet for Vogue. But by 2021, Emma wasn't just a content creator. She was a fashion icon in the making. Her transition into the fashion world didn't happen overnight. It was subtle at first. Thrift hauls, vintage hoodies, experimenting with quirky styles in her vlogs. Emma's fashion sense was never about following trends. It was about comfort, chaos, and confidence. She made oversized sweaters and mismatched outfits look effortlessly cool. The industry noticed. Luxury brands, always hunting for fresh relevance, saw something in Emma that traditional celebrities couldn't offer: authenticity. She wasn't a model or an actress pretending to be relatable. She was relatable. And that made her influence even more powerful. In 2019, Louis Vuitton came calling. Soon, Emma was flown out to Paris, dressed head to toe in designer fits, mingling with fashion elites. What could have felt forced or out of place somehow worked. Because Emma brought her awkward charm and self-deprecating humor to an industry known for taking itself too seriously. Then came the Met Gala. When Vogue handed Emma a microphone and placed her on the most prestigious red carpet in fashion, it was clear
Wait, look how
she
cool
had
this
transcended
is.
YouTube.
I know.
Her interviews
Okay, it was
weren't
like, let's
polished or
customize the mic.
scripted. They were funny, candid, and refreshingly human. Fans loved it. The fashion world couldn't get enough. But with this new era came criticism. Some longtime viewers felt disconnected. She's too Hollywood now. I miss hoodie Emma. The classic tension between growth and staying relatable resurfaced. What many didn't see was that Emma wasn't changing to fit fashion. Fashion was adapting to Emma. Brands were leaning into her personality, not trying to mask it. She redefined what a fashion ambassador could be. Not flawless, but real. This wasn't selling out, it was evolution. Emma Chamberlain proved that you don't need to abandon who you are to enter elite spaces. Sometimes being yourself is exactly what opens the doors. As Emma Chamberlain evolved from quirky YouTuber to fashion icon and business mogul, a growing sentiment began to echo across social media. I miss the old Emma. It's a phrase that haunts every creator who dares to grow beyond what their audience first loved them for. For Emma, it became a recurring theme in comment sections, tweets, and TikTok edits. But what exactly did people mean by old Emma? They were talking about 2018 Emma, the girl filming in her bedroom,
Hello, guys.
editing
So today I
chaotic
just
jump
last
cuts
minute
until
decided that
3
I was going
a.m.,
to do
ranting
a
in her
day
car
in
with
my-
iced coffee in hand. The Emma who felt like your funny, awkward best friend who just happened to have a camera. As her career skyrocketed, fans watched her swap thrift store hauls for Louis Vuitton runways, weekly vlogs for podcast episodes, and spontaneous content for carefully curated brand deals. To some, it felt like losing a friend to fame. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The old Emma wasn't sustainable. The late nights, the self-deprecating humor masking burnout, the pressure to stay relatable while her subscriber count soared, it was never meant to last forever. The commentary community had a field day dissecting her transformation.
In the Bay Area of San Francisco, driving a Subaru,
thrift shopping and getting coffee to becoming this person 5 years later. She lives in a $4.3 million house in Beverly Hills, works with Louis Vuitton and Cartier, and
relatable life. She is no longer relatable to me, really in any sense, except that we have a similar sense of humor.
Chamberlain's career and how she was able to reinvent herself and become everyone's favorite. This might seem very random.
Video used to be clothes from Urban Outfitters or H&M. Now it is.
Others defended her right to evolve. But both sides missed a deeper point. Emma didn't owe anyone the version of herself that fit neatly into their nostalgia. Creators aren't characters frozen in time. They grow up. They outgrow. And sometimes they choose peace over performance. Emma's shift wasn't a betrayal of her audience. It was a survival tactic. She traded constant visibility for boundaries, chaos for control. And while fans mourned the loss of old Emma, she was busy figuring out who she really was beyond the algorithm. Because the truth is, the version of Emma people missed was never the full picture. It was a highlight reel of her most chaotic, accessible moments. What they really missed was how she made them feel. Seen, entertained, and understood in a digital world that often feels fake. But growth doesn't erase impact. It just changes the channel. By the time the world adjusted to Emma Chamberlain's disappearance from YouTube and her rise in fashion, she did something unexpected. She reinvented herself again. This wasn't a return to chaotic vlogs or thrift hauls. It was quieter, more intentional. Through her podcast, Anything Goes, Emma revealed a new layer. Not the quirky teen, not the fashion ambassador, but a young woman figuring life out beyond the internet's expectations. Her voice became her platform, and with it came deeper conversations about anxiety, loneliness, purpose, and the strange reality of growing up as a digital icon. Gone were the days of masking discomfort with jump cuts and humor. Now, pauses held meaning. Silence wasn't awkward, because it was honest. Fans who stayed for this version of Emma witnessed something rare. Authentic reinvention. She wasn't chasing relevance. She wasn't trying to reclaim old Emma. Instead, she embraced change, even if it meant losing part of her audience. Because for the first time, Emma was creating on her own terms. Not for views, not for algorithms, but for herself. This reinvention wasn't about aesthetics or branding. It was personal growth broadcasted. And while some missed the high-energy edits and coffee-fueled rants, others connected with this calmer, reflective Emma, someone who showed that evolving publicly doesn't have to come with apology. Emma Chamberlain proved that reinvention isn't betrayal. It's survival in a world that demands creators stay the same. In choosing depth over performance, Emma redefined what longevity looks like in the influencer era.
I think a lot of celebrities are afraid to let go of their status as famous, because if they do, then they feel like they're going to return to a lower level of society or something.
For years, Emma Chamberlain was hailed as the queen of authenticity. But what does authenticity really cost when millions are watching? Emma built her brand on being real. No filters, no scripts, just her, a camera, and the chaos of everyday life. But as her platform grew, so did the pressure to maintain that image of effortless relatability. The irony? The more audiences demanded authenticity, the less authentic it could truly be. Every joke, every awkward pause, every oversized hoodie became part of a carefully consumed persona, one that fans expected her to uphold, even as she evolved beyond it. Emma has hinted at this paradox in her podcast, questioning whether she was ever truly herself online, or if she had unknowingly crafted a character that felt safe for the internet to love. Because when vulnerability becomes content, where do you draw the line between who you are and who you perform to be? Creators like Emma face a unique dilemma. Audiences crave honesty, but they also resist change. The version of Emma that resonated in 2018 wasn't built to survive fame, brand deals, and global recognition without adaptation. So, was Emma ever truly herself online? Or was relatable Emma a survival mechanism? A curated authenticity designed to thrive in a digital landscape obsessed with imperfection as a brand? By stepping back, shifting her content, and embracing privacy, Emma answered that question in the only way that mattered, by choosing herself over the audience's expectations. Authenticity isn't about staying the same. It's about honoring who you are, even when that person no longer fits the narrative that made you famous. And for Emma Chamberlain, the price of authenticity was learning that being real sometimes means being unseen. Emma Chamberlain didn't just influence YouTube, she rewired how we think about digital storytelling, branding, and authenticity online. Her legacy isn't just the quirky edits, the hoodie in a car monologues, or even her Louis Vuitton ambassadorship. It's the fact that she showed creators there's no single path to success and no shame in evolving. Emma brought jump cuts and awkward silences into the mainstream. She made vlogging feel like a conversation instead of a performance, and most importantly, she allowed herself to be messy, quiet, burnt out, and eventually reborn. YouTubers today use editing styles she popularized without even realizing it. The chaotic zooms, abrupt music cuts, and honest voiceovers, all part of a blueprint she helped build. But she also gave permission for creators to stop, to pivot, to choose privacy, softness, and stillness over performative vulnerability. Her podcast proved that evolution isn't an exit, it's a reroute. And through Anything Goes, Emma redefined what influence could sound like instead of look like. In an era obsessed with visibility, Emma chose depth. And by doing so, she left a digital fingerprint not just on a platform, but on a generation of creators who finally saw that being real doesn't have to mean being available. That's her legacy, and it's only just beginning. Thanks for watching this chapter of MeshCommentary. If Emma's journey made you reflect, hit that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into the creators, cultures, and contradictions of the internet. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and stay real.